All right, y'all, welcome to the show. I hope everybody's having a spectacular day. Got a lot of stuff to get to today, so in just a second, we have some new Jeffrey Epstein bombs as it pertains to Donald Trump. We got some old video that has resurfaced, some old pictures that have resurfaced. We got Jeffrey Epstein's brother coming out on the record and setting Trump straight and letting everybody know the truth about how close they were. So we'll talk about that in just a second. We also have Trump internally among his staffers is absolutely losing it over the MAGA Epstein rebellion. We got some amazing quotes coming out of that story. Later on, we'll talk about the Nelk boys and how they stepped in a heaping pile of diarrhea doo-doo because they decided to have on Benjamin Netanyahu and throw some softballs at him, and the internet basically revolted, including like virtually all of their fans. So we got some more on that. Hassan Piker tries to big bro them a little bit and let them know how they fucked up. We'll get to Mehdi Hassan in that Jubilee debate. Remember, one of the guys just basically came out and said, yeah, I'm a fascist, whatever, who cares? Turns out he was fired. So there apparently are still some consequences in society when you don't play the game, right? Like if he played hide the ball with his ideology, he'd probably still have a job, but he just came out and said it, so consequences there are. And then later on, I mean, I got the stories today, like every single story I'm giving you is one I could have led the show with because they're all that incredible. So I also have Obama calling out Trump and Trump saying Obama's guilty of treason and he should be arrested. That story is wild, but it's also very clearly just another attempt to distract from the Epstein files. And then we have Hunter Biden goes off in this amazing interview with Channel 5, Andrew Callahan. Everybody definitely check out that. It's over 3 hours, but it's well worth it. And by the way, we have Andrew Callahan coming on Crystal Kyle and Friends this week. You're not going to want to miss that. I can't wait to talk to him about this interview. I definitely look at Hunter differently now after this interview than I did beforehand. It was a crazy interview. So we have that too. And then Jon Stewart responds to Stephen Colbert getting shit canned because CBS wants to get their merger approved, and that has to go through Trump. So we have all that and more. You guys know the drill. Everybody please subscribe to the channel. That helps out big time and costs you nothing. If you'd like to, you could also support the show on Patreon. That helps as well. Remember, this is real independent media. Never talked to an advertiser, never done an ad read. So you guys support this show from the ground up. $2 a month goes a long way. $5 a month goes a long way. You have no idea how much that helps. And also, of course, you can sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. That's below. And go subscribe to Corin's World, the YouTube channel. We're dropping Kyle and Corin podcasts over there. Our audio was a little so-so this week. Corin's internet was a little rough, but he's getting that fixed so that next time we go live, everything should be smooth sailing. Hopefully that's all taken care of. And we're really enjoying the live Kyle and Corin. So go subscribe to Corin's World if you want to get involved with that. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it here. So last night, CNN came out with a big breaking news report. And there's actually a couple different pieces to it. So first of all, here we have Jeffrey Epstein's brother, guy by the name of Mark. He calls in to Aaron Burnett's show, and Aaron Burnett asks him some basic questions that are on everybody's mind. Namely, hey, how close was your brother with Donald Trump ultimately? And Mark does not hold back, and he tells the truth, and he basically blows up the entire narrative coming out of the White House. Listen to this.
And Mark, from what you know, from what you saw, how close was your brother to Donald Trump?
They were very close. They were good friends. Jeffrey used to sometimes tell me things that Donald said that were funny. I know Donald was in Jeff's office a lot back in the 90s. It's documented that Donald flew on Jeff's plane a number of times. I don't know if they ever checked, but I know Jeff flew on Donald's plane. Also, I don't know if they've ever looked at his flight logs. And they were good friends. I mean, I flew on Jeff's plane. It's known I was on a plane in 1999, flying up from Florida, and Donald was with us. And we were all joking around. They were good friends.
So Trump's trying to bury this. He's trying to hide this. He's trying to act like, Jeff? Who's Jeffrey Epstein? I don't even know Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know what you're talking about. And then here comes Jeffrey Epstein's brother like, y'all were good friends, and you were flying on his plane, and he was flying on your plane, and y'all were hanging out. And at the same time, we get this story. CNN drops this, exclusive. Newly discovered photos and video shed fresh light on Trump's ties to Jeffrey Epstein. So here's one thing right here. This is a resurfaced picture that everybody seemingly forgot about. But this is Jeffrey Epstein seen at Trump's wedding to Marla Maples, which was in December of 1993. So this is Jeffrey Epstein at Trump's wedding in 1993. Now, we go on here, and K-File uncovers. Here is a video of Trump and Jeffrey Epstein together at the Victoria's Secret 1999 Victoria's Secret fashion show. And they even have video where you can see there's maybe like only 2 or 3 people seated between them, and it may be like, you know, Melania and the wives or whatever the fuck. And so it looks like not only were they talking at the event, but they were sitting close to each other. It looks like they literally went there together to the Victoria's Secret fashion show in 1999. So the world's most prolific, well-known, proven pedophile hanging out with the current president at a Victoria's Secret fashion show in 1999. Oh boy. Oh boy. And then as we scroll more here, you can see this was a well-known picture. Everybody's seen this one with Trump and his kids and Epstein. That you also have, here's one more. So picture taken at Trump's 1993 wedding. Howard Stern is in this picture. I don't know who the rest of these people are, but you could see photo bombing in the background. Here's Jeffrey Epstein smiling. Wasn't supposed to be in that picture, but further evidence that he indeed was at Trump's wedding. So when we say that these guys were close, these guys were close. And as you all know, we did a big story the other day where we laid out Trump had a modeling company, and that modeling company, like the 2 or 3 others in his social circle with these other billionaire assholes who he was friends with, they were basically a front group for international human trafficking. And there's a tremendous amount of evidence to that effect. Never mind the other stories about these massive parties at the Trump properties and the Trump hotels where there was underage sex going on. Now, to that point, we actually have what I think is a much bigger bombshell than what CNN is giving us here. Massive shout out to the Midas Touch guys, because they've been going through all the records under the sun that involve Trump and his celebrity history and Jeffrey Epstein. And they were able to dig up this old interview with a celebrity, with a well-known rapper who talks about going to a Trump party in the early 90s. And what happens from there is absolutely astonishing. This story should not just be on Midas Touch. This shit should be all over MSNBC. It should be all over CNN. If Fox News had even a thread of a conscience, it should be over there. Of course, it won't be. But this is wild what you're about to hear. Listen to this.
An old interview with someone who attended a Donald Trump party in the early 1990s has emerged. One of Donald Trump's celebrity friends at that time, his name is Luther Campbell. You may know him as the rap moniker Uncle Luke. He was part of the band 2 Live Crew. And he did an interview with SiriusXM about 10 years ago on a show called Make It Plain with Mark Thompson. And during this interview, Luther Campbell, aka Uncle Luke, talks about how in the early 1990s, he was at Donald Trump's house in Palm Beach, and he left this party when he saw people there who he thought were underage girls. He described the scene as looking like it was from Eyes Wide Shut with Tom Cruise and Nicole Campbell. He said he saw drug use and he had to just get out. Let's take a look at this interview. Here's Uncle Luke in his own words on Make It Plain. Let's play the clip.
If the man took us around the house, okay, he said, look, I got all these women. I got these women from the pageant. They're going to be there. So we went. It was like, hey, man, I got a pageant down here. I'm hosting these women at the house. Okay, up in Palm Beach, they sent some cars to pick us up. We get in the cars, we drive up there. Me, Mike, Eddie Murphy, we all in our own individual cars. Car service drove us up there. We got there, he showed us around the house, told us about this mansion and the history behind it and all that. Just the golf course, it was dark. We couldn't see the golf course and things like that. And then before you know it, hey, man, y'all enjoy yourself. We got cocktails and everything. And before you know it, the rooms and everything start popping. There wasn't no DJ. It was more of hey, get in where you fit in. Whatever room you're going to go in, you go into that room.
So you say no DJ. There was no music? Or the music was piped in?
No, there wasn't no music.
No music.
That was the interesting part about it. There wasn't no music.
So women just naked in rooms with no music?
Hey, people walking around. It wasn't, listen, it wasn't nothing wrong with that. I was happy to be at that party. But then at the end of the day, when I started looking at some of these girls' faces, I was like, man, these girls don't look like they're old enough.
So do you understand what they're saying here? He's saying, I went to this Trump party, and after a pageant, he had a lot of these girls go to this party. They were underage. There was sex. And this was all happening out in the open. And remember, Trump ran this modeling agency. Trump ran this Miss Teen event. Trump ran Miss Universe, I believe it was, for a while. There's stories about him walking in on these girls while they're getting dressed and then being fucking mortified at that fact. Like, what are you doing? But he owned the pageant, so he felt like I could do whatever the fuck I want, right? Here we have validation. Underage sex parties, underage orgy parties at Trump properties. I don't know why this isn't a bigger story.
I didn't ask nobody their age. And then all the other stuff going on. You know, it was like, okay, I can't be up there. I got to go. If I'm going to jail, then somebody's going to extort me. I really, you know, I don't do drugs. Never did it in my life. You know, I smoked marijuana 2 times, you know, when I was in high school, and I didn't like the experience as far as drugs. I may have sold drugs. I never liked the people who I sold them to when I was young because I thought they were stupid for buying it. So I never cared to indulge in it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So when I do see people doing it, if I'm around it, I get away from it. Mm-hmm. Put it that way.
And here, Uncle Luke again talks about showing up. He was there with Mike Tyson. He was there with other celebrities. And he talks about how the girls there were so young. He didn't want to be around it. He thought that he could also be extorted if he was there. Listen to him in his own words again, talking about the event. Let's play it.
The thing, let me tell you, the thing is when you're around, I've been around a lot of models and a lot of these pageant women, because that's what mostly it was. It was mostly pageant women. Uh-huh. And a lot of these women ain't of age. So when you got a whole bunch of these women running around, whether they of age or not, you know, there's a lot of things going on. You just, you know, some women look too young.
Oh,
so you keep it moving.
I see.
You know, so it wasn't nobody beating no women, nobody taking advantage of no women. I mean, they were all enjoying themselves. That's what they were there for. But were they old enough to be enjoying themselves? I don't know.
Was there sex?
Of course there was.
I guess that's a stupid question not to ask. Okay, so I think I got you now. You're saying that all this was going on and you weren't clear as to whether these were adults.
I wasn't clear whether or not they were adults, and I wasn't clear whether or not, you know, whether I wanted to be in that kind of environment where some of these other things that was going on in there. I ain't gonna too much elaborate about everything else that was going on outside of the sexual act. But
well, my brother, we love for you too. We love for you too. That's why we on Sirius XM. Because we can open it up. We on Sirius XM. We can bust it wide open right here.
About the drugs and the alcohol and the sex and all that. But I ain't gonna talk about the drugs and the alcohol and the sex.
But now you did say that if you were on XM, you could talk about it. So that's why we here, man. I mean, people, inquiring minds want to know.
I said I can use the profanity and all that there. And talk about, you know, naked people and all that. But then I ain't do the drug part. I don't want to talk about that part of it.
Jesus Christ, bro. So here's the thing. I mean, now this is I lost count of all the evidence we have. I mean, you can go back and watch that video that we did. It was titled something like "Exposed Trump is how Trump is in the Epstein files." I don't remember the fucking title, but you guys go find it. I did a video which is basically like, proof Trump is in the Epstein files, right? And go watch that. We got a whole bunch of evidence that indicates that, of course, he's in the Epstein files there. But even since I did that video, I've been hit with story after story and new revealed fact after new revealed fact. And I'm looking at this thing going, this goes way deeper than even I thought, bro. I mean, my mind was blown when I saw that this motherfucker, he was 40-something, 50-something years old, and he owned a modeling agency where he was handling girls as young as 13 and 14 years old, and they were scantily clad in front of him. And then you got that story that was, what was it, the Daily News, I believe it was, New York Daily News, talked about the underage women at these sex parties at the Trump hotels, and he participated in that. That was on the record in 2015, 2016. And now it's all coming to light. Why? Because Trump made it very clear with his actions that he literally was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein. He was a client of Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein has tremendous dirt on him. And so now people's antennas are tuned to that. And they're going, oh shit, what the fuck else is this man hiding? What is he hiding? How dark is this? Was he involved in international human sex trafficking? Is that what this modeling agency front group was? Why were you friends with so many prolific pedophiles? Right? Like, what is this? And here's a super important point. I really hope the conservatives are listening to this because this is really important. You guys told us for so fucking long, particularly when it comes to Hollywood. Hollywood is they're satanic elites who think that they play by different rules and they get away with all these criminal things because they view themselves as above the rest of us. This is what you guys tell us. This is what you've been saying for a hot minute. Well, now we have a story. Well, here it is. Here it is. Donald Trump owning these pageants, underage sex parties, casually inviting other celebrities to it, playing by different rules, getting away with... There's 27 different accusations of sexual harassment and sexual assault against this man, and a lot of the women have shockingly similar stories. Shocking. He had to pay out millions of dollars over one of the cases, the E. Jean Carroll case, for example. Here it is, the thing that you said you were worried about, the satanic Hollywood elites who play by different rules and think they can get away with it and think that they're special, think they're God's gift to this earth, but they're not. And they're unholy and they're unchristian. Is there anybody less Christian on this planet than fucking Donald J. Trump? Here it is. It's right in front of you. And you guys got duped. And you fell for it. And you voted for him. And you supported him. And you sat back and you watched him cut healthcare for 17 million people like he did in the big bullshit bill that just passed. And what do you have to say about it now? Nothing. Watch. By the way, all these fucking right-wingers who are struggling desperately, the Tim Dillons and the fucking Alex Jones and all these bro podcasts who are like, this is kind of weird, bro. Why is Trump like kind of hiding this Epstein stuff, bro? Will a single one of them do a detailed segment talking about how Trump was involved in international human trafficking, like we covered the other day? Will a single one of them talk about this story, where you have a famous rapper on the record saying, I went to a Trump party and there were underage people having sex, and I felt like, hey, dog, I'm not comfortable. I got to dip. Will any one of them talk about? Will any one of them talk about Jeffrey Epstein on literal audio tape saying I was Trump's best friend for over a decade? Will any one of them bring up Michael Wolff and what he said in an interview recently when he said, I was working with Jeffrey Epstein, doing all these interviews with Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey showed me some of the dirt. And one of the things was there were about a dozen pictures that Epstein had of Trump. One of them included girls of an uncertain age, topless, pointing at Trump and laughing because he had a stain on his pants, and some of them were bent over. Will any of them talk about that? It's oh, bro, it seems like something's fishy here with this Trump thing. Might as well not look any deeper and tell people the truth and just keep saying it's fishy as opposed to telling everybody the ironclad truth, which is this guy is in the Epstein files. He is a co-conspirator in the Epstein crimes. Say it or shut the hell up. But shout out to the Midas Touch guys. This is a huge story. Guys, spread this story far and wide, please. Spread this story far and wide. CNN should pick this up. MSNBC should pick this up. All the major networks should pick this up. How is it not already in that position? Look, I'm happy that CNN did the, hey, here's the resurfaced pictures from Trump's wedding in 1993. Jeffrey Epstein's there. Here's Epstein and Trump at the 1999 Victoria's Secret fashion show. I'm happy that they did that. But let's be serious. The bigger story here is verified, validated, another celebrity says underage sex parties at Trump properties. Damn. Now imagine for a second, this was a story about Barack Obama throwing an underage sex party, which is literally a fucking pedophile party. What would the right say about that? They'd be screaming to arrest him right this very second. So get the word out there, spread it far and wide, y'all. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.